What's up, folks? Q-Dizzle Cali here, just talking about sports, doing my thing. But now that they've played 9 games, I'm going to talk about the UCLA Bruins and just my opinion of how I think they've played so far. Now, I'm actually very surprised of how they've started off the season, the fact that they're still not ranked. Well, not saying that they deserve to be because, oh, look, they beat UCLA by 1 point in overtime. They lost to Georgetown by 8, even though that really was a good team. They lost to Cal Poly by 2 points, an embarrassing loss, but I'll get more to that later on. And they lost to San Diego State by 9 points. Just last Saturday, they beat Texas by 2. So most of their games, they've either lost or they were close. But I never really liked UCLA that much until this season. The reason why is because I first saw Shabazz Muhammad play the summer before his junior year in high school, and at the Boost Mobile Classic when he played who else? James McAdoo played in that game. Austin Rivers played in it. Bradley Beal. But that was the first time I ever saw Shabazz Muhammad play. I was like, wow, okay, I'm calling the next Kobe right here. So as a Kentucky fan, I really hope that he would have chose Kentucky, but then he chose UCLA, so that just gave me a desire to start liking UCLA this year. Don't call me a bandwagoner. It's not just because of one player. And also, I got to know a lot more about the other players, such as like David Ware, Travis Ware, and who else? Like Jordan Adams, Kyle Anderson. But the team, another reason why I started liking them is because I first saw Kyle Anderson play in the McDonald's All-American game and the Nike Hoop Summit. In the Nike Hoop Summit, he was like the only other person other than Shabazz who really contributed for Team USA. And yeah, so Kyle Anderson's another reason why I started liking UCLA. But to get things started with the first game of the season, they beat, well, the first 3 games they didn't have Shabazz Muhammad because the NCAA was investigating his eligibility, and then after all he ended up winning. They reinstated him, which meant he was allowed to play. The first game against Georgetown, he didn't start, but he played just as much as he normally would have played. He scored 15 points in his first game against Georgetown, and even though they lost, then they played Georgia after that. And Shabazz, he hasn't really wowed me. I for sure thought he would be the #1 draft pick, but he just hasn't. He hasn't really, I don't think, scored more than 17 points. And I know he can play a lot better than this. I know he's probably not very confident after the NCAA was investigating his eligibility. But the one guy on UCLA who has surprised me the most has been Jordan Adams. Okay, look, Jordan Adams, he was ranked when he was in high school, but he wasn't a McDonald's All-American, or he wasn't a top 40 recruit. He was either in the 40s and the 50s in the ESPN U100. But he's been leading them in scoring. He's scored at least 20 points 6 times so far. And well, if they did lose 2 of their main players who would have been getting playing time, Josh Smith. Josh Smith, he was very out of shape this year. He has been his whole career, but this year more than ever. He could barely get up and down the court, and I think him transferring was probably the right decision for him. And who else? Tyler Lamb also quit the team because there's no way, because he's not better than Shabazz, obviously, or Kyle Anderson. He's not better than Jordan Adams or Norman Powell. And that was also the right decision for him to transfer. Just go to another school where you know you're going to get playing time. And the Ware brothers, they haven't been outstanding, but they played pretty good. I'd say they're both kind of equally as good, both David and Travis. Norman Powell, he's a solid player. He might have somewhat NBA potential. Maybe he could be a second-round pick and be a guy who stays for all 4 years. And Kyle Anderson, he's a very surprised me, not in a good way, But he looks lost. I know it's a big adjustment, being a New York, New Jersey guy your entire life, then move to the West Coast all of a sudden, and he's not like the best player anymore. This is something Kyle Anderson's never had to go through in his entire life. And he looked horrible in games like Georgetown and the Cal Poly, when they lost to Cal Poly. And it's not because of the fact that he's Mr. Slow-Mo, how he's not very quick. Just he doesn't look very coordinated. And like I said, his adjustment from West Coast to East Coast and not being the best player anymore is probably a big reason why he's not playing like how he has. Because I know this guy can really play. Like I said earlier, when he played in the Nike Hoop Summit with Shabazz Muhammad, he was like the only other person on Team USA contributing for Team USA. And well, his best game probably so far was this last game against Texas. He had like 13 points. He's starting to get things together. I don't think he'll be a one-done player, because at first in my mock draft on NBADraft.net, I had him as the 5th overall pick, and now I don't even see him coming out this year. He could still be a great player for UCLA. Who knows? Maybe if he gets things together and plays like how everyone expected him to for the rest of this year, he could still be a one-done player. Well, Tony Parker, he hasn't been getting much playing time. He's very similar to Josh Smith, except he's not as badly out of shape. And I always thought Tony Parker was overrated from the first time I ever saw him play. He can back players down and post up. He's just slow. I don't know if he'll ever be an NBA player. He kind of reminds me of JaMychal Green from Alabama, who went undrafted this year. He's a good player. Just he doesn't really have what it takes for the pros, and he's just kind of too slow. But yeah, UCLA. Don't get me wrong, they will be ranked again at some point this season, no matter what. I can guarantee you, other UCLA fans watching this video, that they will be ranked again some point this year, and I think they most likely will make the NCAA tournament. Yeah, so just the team chemistry, they get things together. I'll promise you guys that they won't be like how they were earlier this year, and that's really all I gotta say about UCLA, folks. I'll make a video about my real favorite team, the Kentucky Wildcats, later today. But adios, folks.